So for our original experiment, we tested the length of the arm versus the distance the golf ball was thrown. And for this experiment, we're testing the angle of launch combined with the number of bungee cords versus the amount of distance the golf ball is thrown. The independent variables we have are the angle of launch and the number of bungee cords we use. The dependent variable is the distance that the golf ball travels when it's launched by the catapult. And for each combination of the arm length and the number of bungee cords, we had 5 trials and took the average of all the trials. Our hypothesis is that if the catapult has 5 bungee cords and is combined with a launch angle of 45 degrees, then the golf ball will travel the furthest distance.
This is our first graph for the catapult launching with a 15-degree launch angle. The data was relatively linear and the equation for the best fit line was y equals 3.285x plus 2.155. The minimum distance launched was when we had one bungee cord and that distance on average was 4.95 meters. The maximum distance launched was when we had 5 bungee cords and on average that distance was 18.08 meters. This is our graph for the catapult at a 30-degree launch angle. The points on the graph are not as linear as before, but the equation for the best fit line is 5.145x plus 1.947. The minimum value was when we used one bungee cord, and that value was 6.32 meters on average. The maximum value on average was with 5 bungee cords, and that distance was 26.27 meters. This is the graph for the catapult with a 45-degree launch angle. On average, with one bungee cord, the golf ball was launched at 6.47 meters. With 2 bungee cords, the golf ball was launched at 14.68 meters. With 3 bungee cords, it was launched at 21.95 meters. At 4 bungee cords, it was launched at 26.94 meters. And with 5 bungee cords, it was launched at 31.15 meters. The data is more linear than other graphs, and the equation for the best fit line is y equals 6.162x plus 1.652. This is our graph for the catapult at a 60-degree launch angle. Most of the points fit on a best fit line, and the equation for that best fit line is y equals 6.574x plus 0.432. The minimum distance we used was with one bungee cord, and that came out to 7.28 meters, and the maximum distance was when we used 5 bungee cords, and that was at 33.48 meters. This last graph is our catapult with a 75-degree launch angle. Once again, most of the points fit on the best fit line. The equation for the best fit line is 6.739x minus 1.273. The minimum average distance was when we used one bungee cord, and that average was 5.92 meters. The maximum average distance was when we used 5 bungee cords, and that average was 32.94 meters.
After our experiment had been completed, we found that our hypothesis had been disproven. We hypothesized that at a launch angle of 45 degrees with 5 bungee cords, the golf ball would be thrown the furthest. However, it was with 5 bungee cords at a launch angle of 60 degrees that the golf ball was thrown the furthest.
This bar graph displays the top 5 catapult designs. As you can see, using higher launch angles such as 45, 60, or 75 degrees, along with using 4 or 5 bungee cords, produced the best results for the distance the golf ball was launched.